Building mental toughness is going to be the key to get the respect that you need and turn into the character that you want to be. So in this guide, we're going to go over how to create mental toughness, and it's not as hard as you think. So let's get straight into this. If you're constantly lazy and unproductive, it's a fucking problem. But it is in your control, and that is something you've got to remember. All of this you can control. It's in your hands, and it's your responsibility. Now, let's start off. Let's just remember, your great-granddad were in a world war, yeah? So all this shit you're complaining about is not as hard as you think it is, yeah? And when you're in a bad situation, it can feel like it's the end of the world, but understand, your ancestors had it a lot worse. You've got it the best than anybody along your line has ever had it. There's more opportunity. On average, your living standards are going to be better. We've all got iPhones, and there's not really no excuses, to be honest. Problem is now we're living in a world where everything's on tap. There's food, bad food everywhere. The laziness is just accepted. The laziness is easy to fall into because of the internet. You know, just remember, everybody before you's had it worse. There's a lot of people in bad situations. If you're living in poverty, you know, all these things, it's bad in a lot of places. So that's something you've got to always have on your mind. It's not as hard as you think. So first off, a weak mentality is tied to your relationship with shame. So if you're constantly relapsing on your willingness to exercise, or your willingness to learn more, or your willingness to just better yourself, it's because you've not got shame, or you've not got enough shame. Because if you had enough shame, you wouldn't be doing it over and over. Shame is a bad emotion. So you need to attach more shame to the habits that you keep relapsing on. And I'm not saying you should go around feeling ashamed for yourself all the time, but you need to internalize that emotion and apply it to everything you keep relapsing on. Because that's going to be the thing that's driving the factor for change. So recognize when you've got shame and attack against it. But you've got to remember, a strong mentality comes with rent, and that rent needs paying every day. So we need to be looking at daily tasks we can do to build that mental toughness. This is not just something you can pick up every once in a while. This is something you need to be fighting all the time. It's a daily activity, and you've got to pay that rent daily. So mental toughness is going to make your life 10 times easier. Because if everything you're doing is hard, everything becomes easy. Because you've got no concept of what's easy. Everything you're doing is hard. So then the level becomes the same. Everything you're doing becomes easier. It's going to prepare you for harder problems that are coming up. Because whatever situation you're in now, you're going to be faced with a harder problem at some point. And if you've not done the preparation for mental toughness, it's going to hit you hard. This is the key to giving you your effing dreams. Yeah, the reason why I'm swearing a lot in this is because, one, I do talk like this. Two, it's serious stuff. You've got to get this in your mind. It's serious stuff. And it's going to gain you undeniable respect. If you've got mental toughness and that's showing in your activities, no matter what situation that you're in, let's say even if you're massively overweight and you're struggling, if you've got mental toughness and you're still going at it, you're still going to get respect off people. You go to a gym and you're massively overweight, but you're trying your hardest in there, everybody is going to respect you. And it's an undeniable type of respect. It's an unspoken respect that it just comes with the territory. So you need to fuel this desire. So I've talked about attaching the shame onto bad habits, but you've got to be constantly thinking about everybody who wronged you, everyone who's beaten you, that girl who fucked you over, that friend that snaked you, or any time someone talked to you with any disrespect. If your mental toughness were at a level where you were executing so much that you had the undeniable respect, people wouldn't be talking to you with disrespect. You're always going to get low-value characters talking to you with disrespect, but they've got no value themselves. Hate only comes from below. You've got to understand that. But when you think about these, this is going to build the character and build the desire to keep your mental toughness in check. This is going to make you mentally stronger because you can always think about those people that did you over. Constantly fueling the fire, we're fueling this desire for the mental toughness. Start easy, like anything, start in small steps. If you're an overweight gamer, you're not running a marathon tomorrow. So don't set goals where you know that you're going to fail because you're only going to end up with a weaker mentality because you've set the goal too big. Now, I'm not saying don't set massive goals, you should be. but just understand the situation you're in. You're not going to run a marathon tomorrow if you've never been on a run. So create a list with 2 things. This is all about habit stacking. So you want to start 2 habits. You know, something like if you get out of bed at 8 o'clock every day, set the goal for 7 o'clock. If you are not going to the gym, set the goal for gym 4 times a week. And now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build this as a habit. They say that you build a habit doing something daily for 30 days or doing something in routine for 30 days. So we're trying to just get 2 things, two differences you want to make in your life. Get a notebook, write them down, Monday to Sunday, checklist, 3 weeks. You're not going to hit every day. If this is not a habit you've built up, you're not going to hit every day. But if you're consciously checking that thing off a list every day, then you're going to see where you're winning, see where you're losing, and you're going to be constantly thinking about it, and you're going to be able to set yourself up to achieve that. So just start with 2 things. Getting out of bed an hour earlier, or maybe not eating a certain type of food, or maybe you want to read every day. Whatever the habit is, get it on a list, start small, 2 things, 3 weeks. That's it. And the process of this is we want to build on this. So once you get those 2 things done, do it for 30 days, then it becomes a habit, then you can add 2 more. 30 days, then it becomes a habit, then you can add 2 more. 30 days, then it becomes a habit, then you can add 2 more. By the end of 90 days, you've got 6 new habits. If you're getting up earlier, reading, exercising, diet's on point, you're learning every day, and you're meditating every day, well, that's 6 new habits. Off of 6 new habits, you can be a completely different person. So you can only be 90 days away from your ultimate goals. That's what you've got to remember. So start small. That's the key. Start small. Now, dieting, gym, you have to be in shape. I don't give a fuck if you don't like the gym. Walk, swim, box, CrossFit, whatever you feel comfortable doing. You can get in shape going on a walk, but diet and gym needs to be sorted, and that's for everybody. Your natural human tendencies is for fitness. You cannot ignore that. It will not serve you in life whatsoever. And I get it, not everyone likes the gym, not everyone likes to go boxing or whatever. You've got to start exercising. If it's just a walk, go on a walk, that's fine. If you want to double stack it with an audio book, then you're doing a double habit, yeah? But you've got to be exercising. And it's not just about getting in shape, but this is about the daily thing that you can show up for. So you might not be able to work every day because you burn out or whatever. But when you're doing exercise, it's a habit that you can build that you've got to pay every single day. Something you can do every single day. Because that's what's really going to build your mental toughness over time. So you've got to be training, got to be exercising. About delayed gratification. And it's something that keeps your mind in check. So get started with the diet and gym. Walk. And your diet doesn't have to be salads every day. Yeah, that's not what dieting's about. But maybe it's about you stop eating takeaways, or you stop eating bread, or you just don't eat bullshit through the week and you do it on a weekend. Yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy difficult, but just get your diet in check. And furthermore on this, I call this habit reversal. So if I go for a drink, if I go get drunk, the next day I'll do 5k or I'll run to the gym. And when you're doing this and you're constantly hitting your habits from the other side, it's a habit reversal. Now, I'm not saying you can go get drunk every single night, go on and run the next day and it'll just reverse it. But every single time you have a bad habit, you're hitting something hard the next day and you're going to have the best chance of reversing the majority of the damage. So I'm not saying you have to stop everything. You can do everything you want. It's the 80-20 rule, as long as you're good 80% of the time. But by doing this, if you're setting a goal to stop drinking, you can't just stop drinking for 6 months because it's going to be torture, it's going to be too much. You clearly enjoy it and you can enjoy it. But you've got to try and reverse it. Try and hit it somewhere else. Bad day of eating, do 2 workouts instead that day, the next day. You can reverse the majority of the damage, but you've still got to be responsible with how much you're relapsing. But by doing something very difficult the day after you've relapsed, and this can even be like if you've wasted too much time on bullshit social media one day, then the next day you do heavy deep learning. So it's about identifying where you relapsed and hitting it harder than you normally would the day after. and that's going to give you some satisfaction as well. So habit reversal, major key alert. You want to build your enemy. You build your enemy by identifying what the enemy is. The enemy is a better version of you. That's the person that you're competing with. So you need to build a mental image of exactly who you want to be. What do you wear? How do you speak to people? Where do you go? What habits do you have? If you're going in your room and throwing your coat on the floor, does your enemy do that? No. So you need to be constantly thinking with every habit, what does the person I want to be do on a daily basis? And that's what you're competing with. So where do they eat? What do they eat? Build your enemy. You need to have deep fantasizing. You need to have a deep image about who you want to be. Exactly down to what detail of colour, things you want, what exact locations you want to be. Deep fantasizing of the person that you want to be. Because then you've always got the comparison. You can always compare yourself to that person, the enemy, which is you. That's who you're competing with. And you follow those steps. Start small, build it up. Just remind yourself, people have got it worse. People in your family and your heritage have had it worse. And you start small and you just build on it. But the key is to start. So if you follow those steps, your mental toughness is going to change dramatically. It's going to give you everything that you want, all the respect that you want. So yeah, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe down below. Think about it.